Don't touch that dial. You're tuned in to the Dread Podcast Network.
Welcome to Development Hell. For every horror movie that hits V.O.D, countless others end up D.O.A. Development Hell is the podcast dedicated to unearthing these cursed horror productions. We're going to find out what went wrong, and then decide if these titles still stand a shot at the green light. I am your host, Josh Korngut. I am the managing editor of Dread Central. I am also a filmmaker in Toronto, Canada. This podcast is a proud member of the Dread Podcast Network. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Development Hell. Today, we are skirting into the land of television once again, and we are digging into True Blood, not the True Blood proper series on HBO, but the canceled reboot that was announced a couple years prior. We are joined once again by Sharai Bohannon. You may remember her from a ton of different episodes of Development Hell. Sharai, how's it going?
It's going great. This has really become my other podcast.
Yep.
This is my third time here this year, I believe.
That makes sense. You know how Starbucks has this like weird marketing thing where they say it's like your third place, that home is your first place, work is your second place, and Starbucks is your third place? It's like really like culty jargon, and I think that this is true about you in Development Hell.
I think so. I'm going to just sneak it in my bio and see what happens.
Do it. I support that. Sharai, for the people that maybe have never listened to an episode of this podcast before, can you reintroduce yourself to the Development Hell audience?
Of course. I am a writer. Actually, I am a news writer for Dread Central. I bother Josh every day, not just on podcast recording days.
Yeah.
And I also am currently co-hosting 4 different podcasts, all of which are horror or thriller. Nightmare on Fear Street is the oldest one. Bloody Massacre is another one of the mains. And I'm one of the many rotating hosts on the Alter Tapes. And I also am doing a You podcast called Hey You with Joe from Horror Queers, which is about to start the second batch of episodes because it comes out March 9th. So yeah.
And one of my favorite things about that podcast is that it exists on the Anatomy of a Scream podcast network, which longtime listeners of this show will know that's where we got our start. So that's pretty cool.
I'm so bad about remembering to say that because that and the Alter Tapes are both there. Both of those are Joe's babies. And I'm just like, da-da-da-da-da.
Do your thing, cuz. Do you know what I'm quoting? That's us.
This is a cursed podcast. I have to
No, it is. Sharai, today we are discussing True Blood and its failed reboot. Do you want to know why I asked you for this episode?
Because nobody else has ever asked me my opinions on True Blood, and I've been waiting.
I went to Mary Beth and I said, you know everyone in the world who likes True Blood? And she says, I think Sharai. Mary Beth is the editor-in-chief at Dread Central, where we both work.
I love how she saw that in me. We never talked about it. She just knew.
She just knew. You must have tweeted about it at some point.
No, she was like, I've seen this bitch. She's definitely watched some True Blood.
Was she right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I was late to the fan club because it was like maybe mid-late 20-teens when I got to it, because my roommate, whose birthday it is today that we're recording this, LaRob, when I was in Chicago, was like, what do you mean you've never seen True Blood? And so started me watching it, and then it became our thing. So we would just do the mini marathons on Sundays after his church gig.
Wow. That's a lot more wholesome than how I got into True Blood. Can I tell you about my journey?
Yes, please.
It was a hookup. I had a random hookup before the days of Grindr. You have to meet them on gay.com. It was a website. And he was really weird. And I actually don't recall if we actually did anything, but we did watch an episode of True Blood. And I will never forget, the guy was really weird, Sharai. He was really weird. I can see his face. Am I right?
It's fitting
What?
because Bill Compton's very weird. So
Yeah, that's true, but hot weird, and that would
he's
have been preferred. I think so. I think so. I think so.
he is tired, and you are yeah. Okay, I see.
And I do like that. I really
You
do
do.
like tired. So,
You do.
okay, even though you know so much more about the show likely than I do, would you mind if I gave it just a brief seminar on True Blood?
Let's go.
So, this series was this horror fantasy extravaganza on HBO by creator Alan Ball. You might remember that name from the man who gifted us American Beauty. Maybe gifted is the wrong word, but he made that movie. It's based on a series of books by Charlene Harris. Am I saying that right? How do you say
Yeah,
her name? Charlene?
I think it's Charlene.
Charlene Harris. And the original title was The Southern Vampire Mysteries, which is, I'm gonna say it, a worse title. So I'm glad we got
It
a new one.
is. It is. That would have never sold in my house.
Did you read these books?
No, I
Oh.
always pretend I'm going to because I know that it's different than the show, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, but how different? But I just the title
Mhm.
just turns me off.
It's
Like,
a bad title. It's a bad
yeah,
title. But the show and the book both are about this character, Sookie Stackhouse, on the show played by Anna Paquin, Oscar winner. And she plays this psychic, or not psychic, but like telepathic young lady in Bon Tom, Louisiana, who's also a waitress and a very lead romance character energy. This whole setup for this show, and I don't know about the novels, but for the show specifically, we're in this sort of land in the world 2 years after the Japanese created something called synthetic blood, and then I think the brand name was True Blood. And so this allowed the vampire population of planet Earth to, unquote, come out of the coffin and sort of be revealed to humankind. And it's a pretty obvious gay metaphor as our sort of root metaphor for the series. How do you feel about this sort of landing pad for True Blood? Is it
I'm
like a smart thing or is it weird?
I'm happy you asked because I was watching these two episodes for the first time in years. I was like, they think they're doing what the X-Men is doing, and they're not because
No.
like they were trying to really align it with like race and like queerness, and it's not the same. And the way they were going about it is not the best it could be, and it's because it falls into those traps of not wanting to give like black and brown and queer people lead roles.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
you have like this black woman going after him, talking about how he's bullshit, he doesn't deserve rights. I was like, is this where we would be on this fight? Is this where we would be?
You're
And
so fucking right. Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's a thing that we still see today because it's always how can I give the people with the least even less?
It's so real because they're just using it as a metaphor so we don't actually have to see real gay people or even just portrayed gay people on screen. You still are dealing with straight ass fucking vampires.
Right,
So that's
and
an interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
And I'm not surprised because like Alan Ball, I'm pretty sure at this point had given us 6 Feet Under and another HBO show I forgot about.
Oh my god, I only called him American Beauty and I didn't even bring up 6 Feet Under. What is absolutely wrong with me?
The Shade, the
Yeah.
gall. Oh
Yeah.
no, but it like those shows, while they were what the people wanted at the time, and they probably are still great, were also very white centered.
Hmm.
With very white straight people problems.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hmm.
this
More
was
so than this.
right? So this was definitely him being like, I'm hip. I'm not like the other ones. And being like, but you kind of are good, sir. It's okay though. We still watched it.
Well, yeah, they really borrowed from like real, like they really went hard with this gay metaphor so much as borrowing from hate slogans and campaigns like God hates fags and turning that around into God hates fangs. And again, as I said earlier, coming out of the coffin rather than coming out of the closet.
Yeah.
I think at the time, as a young gay man watching this, I thought, "Ooh, this is neat." Oh, but looking back, yeah, it would have been nicer to just actually have some representation. But say la vie, but this is not where we are today. I was rewatching the first two episodes, and there is some black representation, but
Yeah.
I would like to hear your feedback on how these characters are portrayed on screen.
So I did end up falling in love with Lafayette like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I did end up getting along with Tara, but like these first few episodes, they really didn't know what to do with her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it shows. And that actor, Rutina Wesley, I believe, I should have
Yep.
looked that up. Yes, yay.
Yep.
Rutina Wesley is a badass bitch, and so she's gonna deliver. But again, like if the writing's not there, she's giving a great performance with nothing. And so
Yes.
it feels very much like, oh yeah, we decided to give some black people some lines, and we're gonna figure it out later, but not have writers in the writers' room that can like support us and help us figure it out.
It felt like white people writing for black people, and
Yes,
as much as these actors are like impossible to look away from. We've got Nelson Harris or Nelson Ellis of Lafayette and Rutina Wesley as Tara. Like the writing is like a little, I don't know, cringy maybe, and like it just doesn't feel authentic at all.
exactly, and it makes me really sad because like this is one of the things Nelson is most known for, and he passed away way too soon.
He
Um,
passed away.
Yeah, like before I even watched the show, because I was like, people were like losing their mind because they all love him. He's such a good actor, and this was the thing that like most of them knew him from because like
Yeah.
all of us are in this age bracket. And so when he died, and I found out, people were like, "Oh no, not Nelson," and I was like, "I've never seen this," and they're talking to me about Lafayette, and I was like, "I
Hmm.
kind of do want to watch this show now and to see what's happening." And I don't know how he identified, but I believe he had a wife and kids, and so I was like,
Huh.
"Isn't that going to be sticky watching somebody who might be straight play a queer character?" But yeah.
I mean, he does a great job, and I
He
didn't know
does.
that he had passed, so that's kind of shocking to hear.
Yeah, it was very sad. And a lot of people were very sad. Which is
Hmm.
how I got on because I had not seen a lot of his work at that point. I think he'd done some other like shows for HBO, but nothing of this magnitude where he got to like
Mm.
stay for so long. But yeah, such a great actor, and this is what he's most known for, and it's a very, very shaky script.
Yeah, I have to look into that more. I'd like to see some of his other work and to see him in a straight role because I don't know, yeah, as a gay person, I would say the gayness did feel kind of real. The gayness kind of felt authentic and I don't know, interesting.
There's never a moment in his performance where I'm like, oh no. But again, I am a straight woman, so I I don't get a say. But like I've seen some cringy shit and I've been like, oh no, and gone to Twitter to be like, what y'all saying?
Hello.
Hello, this on?
Uh, so there were 7 seasons of True Blood, which is actually I didn't realize. I thought it was only 5 seasons.
Oh no. You
So
forgot the fairies then.
well, I know she's a fairy, and then I remember there was a fairy that worked at a hotel, and that's all I remember, to be honest with you. Do you remember the fairy that worked at a hotel?
I don't remember that one, but there were so many fairies. And I was like, should I stop watching?
The fairies I liked, but then the once it got to like cat people, I checked out.
Listen,
I was like, I don't need cat people.
it got so ridiculous so fast.
It got really ridiculous, really fast. I think I only watched the first 5 seasons, if I'm gonna be really, really honest with you. Maybe even the first 4.
Now you have to finish.
No. Maybe if I restart it again one day, maybe I'll get to the finish line. I did just watch 8 seasons of Mom, the fucking nightmare,
Oh,
the Chuck Lorre show. Why
oh
do I keep
God.
talking about this? People don't need to know.
Listen, it's too late. It's
Ugh.
out there. But you just watched the first 2 episodes of this, so you might as well just go ahead and finish it.
Yeah, I kind of want to. Honestly, rewatching the first 2 episodes of this, it gave me those feelings. It kind of made me like remember what a good sleazy romance is supposed to feel like.
Right?
Um,
If
mhm.
like every time I think about this show, I remember what I what I only assume is straight old lady porn, which is the Harlequins and shit that my mom used to read.
Mhm.
It feels like that because like we start off with Suki and she seems like she's gonna be a badass who's a little bit conservative.
Mhm.
Because like, I mean, don't get me wrong, she's like, don't say those bad words. I'm a lady. But also she's like, fuck y'all, treat the vampires better. I'm gonna beat these people's asses because they tried my friend Bill that I just made at the bar.
I like that about her. She's a proper lady, but she'll kick you in the teeth. And I thought
Right?
that was cute.
Right? It was cute. And she even took a beating at the end of that episode. But
She
then
almost dies in the end of that episode, I feel like.
Exactly. But then there's an immediate shift after that first episode. And so the game becomes how will Suki be in danger by the end of the episode? Who's going to save her the next episode?
I think that's just called good writing. I remember Thou Who Shall Not Be Named, aka Joss Whedon, once saying that he always used to put Willow in danger just because he knew the audience loved her and he knew that he'd get a rise out of them every time he put her in danger. And I think that's kind of funny and smart writing.
I mean, when she was in danger, though, she was also doing something because she was always a secret badass. And then when
Yes.
she owned it, and she stopped being the one in danger, and then we got Dawn. I hate Dawn.
I know. Hell on Earth. I'm going to be rewatching the Harriet the Spy movie soon because of my friends. And I'm really... I wonder how that's going to hold up, to be honest.
It's been hard to look at Michelle Trachtenberg ever since she played Dawn, and it's not her fault. She didn't write it. She didn't add herself. But, like, I just get so bitter when I see her now.
So yeah, the romance element of the show is something that like I secretly kind of feel drawn to. We were talking about Bill Compton earlier, he doesn't seem to be your favorite of the sex idols on the show, portrayed by Stephen Moyer. And then of course there's Eric Northman, portrayed by Alexander Skarsgård. It's very diverse. You have a brunette and you have a blonde.
This is what Martin Luther King marched for.
Yeah, a brunette option and a blonde option. Honestly,
Right?
like
This
the
was the
world is
dream.
saved. Yeah,
You
it
don't
is.
have to watch the rest of the speech anymore. This was it. Look.
Oh yeah. Wait, for people that don't know, what's Bill? What is his deal? Who is this man?
Bill is an old, sad vampire who arrives in this town. And he looks sickly and he acts sickly. And that actor and Anna ended up getting married, didn't they?
What?
Yeah, I think they did because
Oh my god.
when somebody told me, I was like, but they have the least chemistry out of her and all the hot men she's with.
I mean, other than Jason, but yeah,
that's her brother in the show. So
I know.
But even they have better chemistry now that you mentioned that. Look.
I feel like is he okay? Well, okay. I'm sorry to move on to. I did it by mistake, but Jason Stackhouse, aka the brother of Sookie, why is he so hot?
They hired him knowing he would never wear a shirt.
Never, no.
Because I missed the initial True Blood boom, I never heard interviews, so I did not know that actor was Australian until after he did Glorious last year.
He was in he was in Glorious last year. How dare you erase Dead Silence from cinema history?
It wasn't Dead Silence. Oh my god!
Come on.
Oh my god!
I don't know if you know this, but everyone at home probably already does. But Dead Silence might be my favorite movie ever made.
I can see that, if not Amityville About Time.
Well, Amityville 1992, It's About Time. How dare you? Is incredible. It's not a secret. Most people know that Amityville 1992, It's About Time is fucking great. You haven't even seen it.
I don't need to.
The thing is, it's literally about time.
I think it's about time. Go to your next bullet.
There's another hottie on the show, sort of the Xander Harris of the mix, Sam Merlot, as played confusingly by Sam Trammell. Who's this MF?
He's a hot little baddie that gave her a job, but also questionable because he's got the girls dressed like they're working at Hooters, and so that was very weird.
Yeah, he does. He really does. We don't think about that. Tara brings it up, but I was like, it's okay. It's green. It's fine. Do you remember the Halloween where everybody wore that outfit?
Listen, I went to grad school in Texas, so that was every Halloween.
I mean, it's not a bad costume. I would wear it.
I mean, in the summer, yeah, because like it's hot. But like, I just don't know if I want to like be out of like the family get together with my ass out.
I mean, I think I do. I think that I do. I think it's true. Who else are we missing? We kind of talked about Lafayette. Eric Northman. I feel like we got to spend a little extra time on because he's someone that we've talked about before on this podcast, kind of, right?
That Skarsgård has a chokehold on HBO and myself.
He does. He does.
I forgot he wasn't in these first few episodes, and the show gets so much better when he does arrive.
Yeah, I remember it being like he's third lead, but I guess it wasn't so much the case for the first while.
Yeah, which makes me sad because Sam's a cutie and a better option than Bill. But like when Eric gets into town, you're like, you don't stand a chance, Sam. Good night. And Sam's like, but I'm still here. And it's like,
Do you think it
no.
was supposed to be Bill and Sam as like the two love leads, and then it just kind of Eric kind of just worked out?
That's what it feels like. Like somebody wrote the pilot, maybe the first 2 episodes, because you need to like know where it's going next. And they were like, "Yeah, these three are going to be a triangle." And then like when things got settled, they were like, "You got to do something bigger and hotter." And they were like, "We got a Skarsgård on standby. Let's go."
There's a moment in the first episode where Sam shows up in his dog form and
Yeah.
licks Sookie's neck, and I thought that's non-consensual.
Listen, and also he keeps thinking things about her, knowing she can read minds. And I'm just like, you're trying to like get your little flirt in a way that's not cute.
Okay, well, hold on a second here. And I was thinking about this. If I knew a person could read my mind, no matter who it was, no matter how little attraction I had to them, I think all I would think is like, I want to have sex with them. Let's do disgusting things. Like it would just my brain would just say the things it's not supposed to say. I think just out of anxiety.
Like I always say when I'm thinking of people I don't like, so that would also not
You
help us
do.
bond.
You do
I
that.
know,
You
I
do
do.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
But like, when I'm attracted to a person, I don't want to catch a case, and so I got to be more subtle about it. I got to be more smooth, or pretend to be more smooth. I can't just be like, I can't wait until you're home with me, and I
I'm
just like going to
gonna
this rabbit
do
hole.
this, but yeah, I'm glad people can't read my mind. It's just like a lot of me singing Tori Amos songs and
It would
thinking.
save me time if they could read mine.
I mean, not much though. For you, I don't know, not that much time would be saved, but sometime
Yeah, like the brain to mouth delay is like 2 seconds.
that does add up actually over time.
Some
So
people have taken a whole hour for me. Like,
whoa. We talked about Tara. We talked about Eric. We talked about Lafayette, Jason, Sam, Bill, Sookie. I think we've gone through the important players. Is there anyone I'm kind of forgetting about?
not really, because everybody ends up dead or pregnant, which I mean,
Or
kind of the same.
both, if we were talking about Dawn of the Dead 2004 remake.
Listen.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah, it was my first Dawn of the Dead, sadly.
I don't want to tell the truth about children, but I have never seen the original. I know. I'm going to have to cut that out probably, right?
Okay, so we need to watch True Blood on the low key, and we also have to like watch all the Dawn of the Deads in order because there's a lot.
Okay, I like that you call the whole series Dawn of the Dead. I have seen Night of the Living Dead. I just haven't seen Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead.
I mean, we could do it. We could do it because most of them are free somewhere, anyways. We could do that.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Would you be interested, maybe kind of, into hearing a little bit about this failed HBO reboot?
Yeah, because we were all waiting for it.
We were all waiting for it. I don't know about you, but didn't it feel like in the last 2 to 3 years when HBO Max surfaced, they were ripe to reboot literally everything that basically wrapped up 2 to 3 years ago?
Yes, and I was like, "That's a plan," but also I'm invested in some of these shows. Let's see where it goes.
Did you watch the Queer as Folk reboot?
I didn't. I meant to because I know like somebody I worked with in Chicago is in the cast, but I just
Oh.
never got around to it.
Okay, there was the Queer as Folk reboot. Okay, did you watch the Gossip Girl reboot that they did?
I watched a few episodes.
I didn't. What was going on there?
It was not for me.
Yeah, it didn't look like it was for anyone.
No, and it makes okay. So like my journey with Gossip Girl is I kept getting drunk at somebody's house, and I wake up and him and his roommates were watching Gossip Girl reruns because they had
That
a
sounds right.
DVR'd.
That sounds right.
And so eventually, after waking up hungover enough, I was like, okay, so what is this? What's the story? And so I then went and watched it all in order. And I was like, why did I do that? I hate myself. So when I saw the reboot coming back, like it's time to hate myself again. And I watched 2 or 3 episodes. And I couldn't tell you if there is a plot. I couldn't.
I didn't get back to it. I just like thought that it's not the right time. It didn't feel correct. And then okay, so we had the Gossip Girl, we had Queer as Folk, and then the last one I can think of is the Pretty Little Liars HBO Max reboot.
Oh.
Did you watch that?
I watched the first episode because people told me it was different from the first one, which I never watched, and they lied to me. It's what I envisioned in the first.
They didn't lie to you, but you shouldn't have watched it. Yeah, I watched the first episode too and was confused and bored.
I was like,
yeah.
I was really happy because I saw that one. I think her name is Carly Pope from Popular when I was a kid. And I
Sure.
was like, she's gonna be, and then they killed her, and I was like, oh, she's dead. And then it was a bad time for the rest of the show, anyways. And I was like, okay.
I have to be fully 100% honest with you. I loved the original Pretty Little Liars. And I know what it looks like. I know what it sounds like. I know what this crime scene comes across as. But it was a pretty like extraordinarily stupid teen mystery drama. And I loved it. I always thought that if I taught like a TV writing course, I would teach that pilot episode because it's such nonsense, perfect trash. I know you don't respect me, and that's okay.
I mean, you have a taste.
I loved
I
it. I loved it. I just loved it.
I've never seen the original. I'm never going to. I do know that we have like weird attachments to stuff that we watch at the right times because like
Oh
we
my
were
god.
all in the WB, but can we say all those shows are great? No.
I was a Vampire Diaries girl. I'm sorry.
Of course you were. Of course
I'm
you were.
sorry. It was good. If the real ones know, that Vampire Diaries had its value. All right. So
I
yeah,
I saw some of that, and I'm happy I got away from it. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
you would have been a Damon person, even though he's gross. Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on. But we're just trying to say here is that when HBO Max surfaced out of the depths, they decided to make a lot of random ass reboots. And in line with all of those other ones that we previously discussed, True Blood seemed to be in the cards. They wanted to get back to basics. And in December of 2020, TV Line, I believe, got the exclusive that they were, in fact, developing a new version of True Blood and that they were bringing on Riverdale creator Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. And he was attached to executive produce. So this is the guy who is also, I believe, behind one of the new Pretty Little Liars, which was described as a horror tinge coming of rage. Doesn't that make you angry? Coming of rage.
I'm gonna need another drink.
Well, I had a mental breakdown, so you can have a drink. It's like I walk so you can run. But also, interestingly enough, according to this article, Alan Ball himself was supposedly going to be returning to executive produce. I don't know if that means it would have just been in title alone or if he really would have been creatively involved. But that does kind of make me interested. Does it pique any interest in you?
I think if it was just a name only, that would be cool. But I do wonder if like Alan Ball's moment is over, and that's not to be shady, but he wrote very white centered things for a
Yeah.
specific time for HBO, and I don't know if we need to go back there.
No, it's happened, and it's like we hold it dear, and like it's like historical greatness, but
Hmm.
I don't know if it's the right now, the future, the moment. I agree. Yeah.
Right? But if it was just name only, and he was like, "I'm just gonna open my wallet and like let people who should tell some stories," that's fine and cool. I support that agenda.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's not what it was going to be. It says here that he was only the showrunner for the first 5 of the 7 seasons. Interesting. And he was the one coming to back. I guess that's maybe why the second last 2 seasons got poor reviews. Is that they kind of lost.
They were rough.
They were yeah, they probably needed him. You know when like a show loses its main writer or loses its main writers and all of a sudden it kind of feels like fan fiction?
Yep. That last season of Gilmore Girls,
Oh, yeah.
right? Say what you want about Amy Sherman Palladino,
Are
and
you talking about
he's
season
that
7?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
That would never
100%.
happen on her watch, and she did a lot of things I can't defend, but like,
That's such a fucking good example because I've never been able to watch season 7 and I've seen the first 6 seasons of that show easy 3 times.
yeah. I used to marathon the first 6 seasons, and I would stop because I would always try to do 7, and I remember how bad it was, and I would just like wander away.
I literally get 10 to 20 minutes into the first episode and then every time turn it off.
The last time I started it, I was like, I'm gonna finish it so I can do a year in the life because I've only done that once, and I did neither.
I've
I
never
did.
done a year in the life. People at home are like, unsubscribe. They've unsubscribed. They've unsubscribed. And I think the catalyst was Gilmore Girls. I think that's what it was.
I think a year in the life worked because it was right after we lost Richard Herman, and so that Richard
Mhm.
tribute was very moving.
That was funny. I did see that.
Yeah, that was a thing. And then like it was just an uneven 4 episodes.
Well, back to a topic Back to the topic. Not to, sorry, how do I transition? So besides Mr. Roberto from Riverdale, we had another guy supposedly attached to exec produce the new series, which was Jamie O'Brien, who was the creator of AMC's Nosferatu. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I've never actually watched it. Have you?
I have. So it's another vampire show, and it's based on a book that I really, really love by Joe Hill,
Oh,
who's the son of Stephen King, but also a very talented writer in his own
Mr.
right.
Blackphone.
Yes, Mr. Blackphone. And he wrote this really extraordinary fantasy horror novel called Nosferatu. And I say it like that because it's a 4 and a 2. And it was really, really great. But then when they made a TV show, it got bad reviews, and I checked into it, and it didn't hold water, unfortunately.
Mm.
And so this was the new vampire person they were bringing on board. So maybe that's a bad sign. Maybe it
Yeah.
is.
You can't forgive somebody whose ship is sinking. That's just not.
Oh no. Well, speaking of ships that sink, I think it was only last week where we got an article out of Variety, and they got a quote out of Casey Bloys, and this is the HBO Max content CEO, and he was talking about a bunch of shit that's going down at HBO that doesn't really mean much to me, like Game of Thrones. But in the same article, he made mention that the True Blood reboot was dead in the water, and that it was only they were just developing a few scripts and unquote, but nothing felt like it got there. So it doesn't really sound like too much development was actually going on in that cauldron, but hard to say.
It's more Idea Hill. They didn't get to the development stage.
They didn't. How do you feel about this? Is this something that you would have even secretly tapped into and watched?
I would have checked it out to see if they were doing things differently, because I know when I think what a new version of True Blood could be, I see something different.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they would have given that to me, but I would have been excited to see if they got close to what I would like.
I don't hate to do this to you, but I'm going to. What would you do if you were given this IP?
If I were pitching it, first things first, Suki is a Black woman.
Cool.
That just has to happen.
Yeah.
I think that we need more than 1 to 2 queer characters a season. I just That's just me. And I also think we need to give her a little bit more agency, because it does become, how will she be in danger by the end of the episode? And that's not the game I would like for my lead.
What if it's like a queer Black guy
I
in
could
the Suki
support
role?
it. I could support it.
No, it's a story about women, maybe ultimately, like not in a good feminist way, but like in a
yeah.
trashy romance novel way.
Yeah, and I also think that she doesn't need to be straight, because again, we had a bunch of men after her, and I love all the men but Bill, but also I think that's kind of boring and expected, and it's not good for the numbers. Again, I think that we could have intersectionality, which is a thing I would like to talk to HBO about.
They'd be like, what?
Interdimensional where?
Interdimensional snoo.
Are we going into the TARDIS?
They're like, we'll reboot that. That show's still going. Oh, okay.
Call it Psychiatrist Strange.
Wow. I mean, maybe I'd watch that. But
on it.
No. Yeah, would you want, or okay, do you want to see True Blood rise again in the future? Is this something that you would say yes to?
I would check it out, but I don't need it unless we're going to make some drastic changes. I just don't need it.
I think it's not time, personally. I think that it didn't go off there that long ago. And when the time comes, you're right, it needs to be something completely new. Something with the same vibe and the same tone, but with a completely new POV. And I don't know what that would even look like.
And it has to be actually something more modern, so we need younger writers. I don't mean we need like 12-year-olds, but we do need people who understand the way things are. We can't have boomers running it, because we'll get into the same problems.
Oh my god, you're just looking for a TikTok series. Why are you doing this to me? It's all like long. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I think that we will get new True Blood again at some point. I don't know what it'll look like, if it's going to be TV or some other bullshit. I think one day it'll be back, but I just can't necessarily foresee in what medium.
Is the book series still going or did it end?
I really don't know. Should we look?
Okay, I've never actually went to see how many books there were or are. That's me being a bad fan.
All right, I've got it here. So the last book was in 2013. So it was from 2001 to 2013 pretty consistently. So
Mhm.
it does kind of seem like that ship has sunk.
Okay,
Other
but
than
like,
2014, yeah.
but also I know the books are drastically different from the show. I never read them, but people who did read them told me. And so I don't know how much of that could be repurposed to make it a new thing that's similar enough to the people who love the books.
Hmm. Oh my god, the book art is so bad. Oh my god.
I mean, it was early odds. Like 3 people were reading, so they weren't really giving them money for the artists.
They're so like cartoony. There's no way in America you guys got the show Angela Anaconda, but for the Canadians listening, you know what I'm talking about. It looked
Sounds
like
familiar.
everything was. Does it sound familiar?
Yeah, I don't know why it sounds familiar.
There's no way. I don't believe you. You're a liar. You lied to me. It looks like that, like really cheap animation that looks like it was just like cut out of a newspaper.
Oh, I
Yeah.
just I just brought them up. Oh my god, these are cheap. I'm
Aren't
sorry.
they fucking terrible? I'm just
I
mad.
I'm sorry. The complete series, 13 books, is $78.99 for whomst.
I mean, that's not bad for $30.
13 books.
I know. I was hyperbolizing.
No.
I'm never gonna read them. Oh, you know what? I might listen to them on tape at one point in my life. I do have a lot of credits on Audible left.
If my library has it on audiobook, I might check it out because I did just watch these first 2 episodes and I do miss this world.
I do miss it too. I think I might just have to rewatch the show.
Good. Let's be secret rewatch buddies.
Okay, I love it.
Yay.
We can start our own Anatomy of a Scream series.
Yes. I'm gonna tell Joe.
Blood pals.
Listen,
No.
bloody Trudies.
Bloody Trudy? Sucky Wookiees? No, that's bad.
We can call it Benton because, like, when you put on closed captions, it says Benton, but they're like Bontemps, and I'm like, y'all need to talk.
Oh, Bontoms.
Yeah.
Bontom babes. Okay, there it is. There it is. For the Bontom babes.
We also talk about how everybody's accent is different. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they did not have the same coach for dialect.
No, I'm going to say that Anna Paquin was inconsistent on those first 2 episodes. Does that
Yeah.
sound familiar?
Yeah, which was rough because I'm used to her being Anna Paquin, Oscar-winning actor, and she was like, "Oh no, I've never been to the South." Look,
She's okay. She definitely won that Oscar when she was like, what, 12?
yeah.
And I think it maybe has been downhill since then.
I mean, it's hard to come back from that. Like,
What has she done lately?
she's been in some X-Men movies.
Oh, is she in Ooksmoon?
She's been in a few. She was Rogue for Hugh Jackman's era.
Oh, she's in a lot. Okay, so but nothing I've heard of. Oh yeah, she was in Days of Future Past in 2014, which is 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in The Good Dinosaur, one of the very few flop Pixars.
Oh.
And then she was in The Irishman. That's crazy.
I remember because they didn't give her any lines in some of her scenes, and Martin Scorsese's like, because she's such a great actor, she could say so much with her eyes instead of him. Only he didn't write any lines for the women.
That sounds right. That sounds fairly correct. She's in a football movie called American Underdog, which I'm upset about.
I just don't even want to know more about that.
I refuse to ask. And she's also in a movie from this year on Netflix called True Spirit, which I'm sure you and I are going to have to see on the charts at some point.
I'm sure it's in our inbox right now. That's this trigger we got, not the ones we wanted.
That's so beautiful. Okay, before this is going to be cut, but I found something that's going to make you as happy as it made me. It's called flixpatrol.com. Every streamer has weekly, daily, monthly charts.
Finally.
I know, right? No one cares. Everyone I told, they were like, why are you slacking me? I was like, that's so important. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, she was in Scream 4. She's a Scream girl.
Oh yeah, she was. She was the one with Veronica Mars.
Yeah. Hey, Kristen
Wiig. No, Kristen Bell.
Kristen Wiig. Kristen Bell, yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, Belle. Who I don't love, but that's okay. It doesn't matter.
I like Veronica Mars. While we're talking about things somebody cares about, because I was doing the Hulu streaming guide so early, nobody had anything for me, and so I went to Hulu and found out they do have a page where they tell you what's coming up next month and what's leaving next month.
Yes. That's good news. That's very good news. We're gonna break the internet. The internet's consider yourself broken.
Right?
Who am I talking to? This is all getting cut, so I should stop being cute.
Us.
Yeah. Our two biggest fans, actually.
I'm hoping we could get a nice, quick movie after enough time has passed and we actually like really, really miss it. Mm-hmm. Because if we hadn't started it, we wouldn't miss it, let's be honest. But we just started these 2 episodes, so we're like, let's do it one more time.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right. Sharai, if you could be found on the internet, where should people find you?
If you look up Miss Sharai on Instagram or Twitter, you can find me and all my shenanigans. You can also find me bothering Josh, because like Mia Goth has given me more gifts from this new movie outside of Skarsgård.
I would agree with that. Beautiful. Thank you again for coming on Development Hell. Oh, something that I said that we were going to do for the audience and mostly just for us was, since you've been on the show about 1,000 times, I want to try to see if we can, by memory, remember all of the episodes you've been on. Can we try it?
Oh, wow. Okay, so this year I've done at least 3, because it's this, Samantha Darko, and Talk to Me / Infinity Pool.
Yeah, so that's the previous 3 for sure. Is it easier to go back in time starting now or start at the beginning of Ages? Rock of Ages.
I think working backwards, because I know the first one was Buffy, but I don't know how we got to like Child's Play or anything else.
Okay, Buffy for sure, then Silent Hill, then Chucky. And so that's 6 right there.
Yes.
And I feel like we're missing something.
It's Brian, Imaginary Daddy.
Oh, yes, Mockingbird Lane.
Yes. So that's 7.
That's 7. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Is there I feel like there's another.
I'm looking right now. I've actually Googled it and I'm not seeing more. But I do feel shocked that that's it. I do feel like 7 feels low.
We're missing at least 1 or 2. I know we are.
Oh my god. Well, we're gonna have to make up for lost time. I forget about that Silent Hill episode. That Silent Hill episode really rocks my world because we fucking guessed the name of the new Silent Hill movie. I mean, could it be anything other than Return to Silent Hill? No, but... Thank you so much for listening to Development Hell. If you enjoy this podcast, then please do us a major favor of leaving us 5 stars and writing a positive review. It really makes all the difference in the world. We'll see you next week with a brand new episode of Development Hell.
Thank you for listening to the Dread Podcast Network.